Hey, good Monday morning. Good Monday morning. The sun is out. It's a cool morning, but anyway, I hope, this week we begin with March, we end in April. So hopefully, warmer weather will stick around when it comes. But today I just want to talk about God's grace. God's grace. Yesterday in my message, I was sharing the story, the parable of the prodigal son. And I think all of us can relate to the prodigal son, and I think all of us, or a lot of us, can relate to being the older son as well. But in that story, even before I get to the story, in the book of Daniel in the Old Testament, Daniel says, "We do not make request of you because we are righteous, but because of your great mercy." And that's in Daniel 9, verse 18. Because of your great mercy. So Daniel knew the mercy of God. He understood how God watched over his people, even in the most devastating and harsh times that they faced. And today I just want to remind all of us that no matter who you are, no matter what you've done, Jesus shares with us that grace, because the religious leaders in Jesus' day, and I think religious leaders in our world, are sometimes too judgmental. I mean, seriously. I mean, just think of why Jesus shared the parable in the Gospel of Luke. In verse 1 of 2 of Luke 15, it says, the tax collectors and sinners were all gathering around to hear Jesus. Tax collectors and sinners. And so these folks were notorious for being the bad guys, quote unquote, in Jesus' day. And you would think the religious leaders would be happy about it, excited that these folks are going to listen to what Jesus has to say. But the religious people didn't like Jesus either. Yeah. So what happens? In verse 2 of Luke 15, it says, now listen to this, but the Pharisees and teachers of the law grumbled. They grumbled because Jesus was surrounded by sinners and tax collectors. But listen to this, as they grumbled because this man, quote unquote, this man welcomes sinners and eats with them. Did you hear that? I mean, this is revolutionary words that Jesus is not only preaching but living out. The Pharisees and the religious leaders of their day confess that Jesus not only welcomes sinners, but he eats with them. He makes room at the table. And the way our world is, there is plenty of room at the table. Jesus makes room for all of us. And he gives the parable of the prodigal son. And that young man, he ends up leaving home. He goes out, he does terrible things, he loses everything. But in that parable, that young man confesses. That man repents. And the word repent in English, it just means you turn direction, you change, you turn around. And that's exactly what he did when he found himself in that situation where he lost everything. He didn't have any food. He was thinking about how well his servants had it, his father's servants had it. So what does he do? He says to himself, if I just go back home and I apologize, I tell my dad that I sinned against you, I sinned against heaven, and I'll just be a servant for the rest of my life. But the Father has other plans for the Son. The Father knows that Son is coming home. That Father is looking forward to that moment when that Son realizes that what he had done was wrong. And the Father is watching even before the Son makes his way home. That Father is already running out to meet him, to greet him, to put on the best robe, to put the ring on his finger, and to put sandals on his feet. That son was lost, but now he was found. He was dead, but now he's alive. And Daniel reminds us, even before Jesus comes into the scene, Daniel says that we do not make request of you because we are righteous, but because of your great mercy. And the parable of the prodigal son reminds us of the mercy of God. And no matter who you are, don't run from God. Yeah, I know religion can be difficult, and religious people can be harsh. I mean, just look at what they said about Jesus. But the Pharisees and teachers of the law grumbled. This man welcomes sinners, and he eats with them. Yeah. So, today, stop running. Turn around. Come home. Follow the Lord. It doesn't mean life's going to be easy, but I guarantee you that compassion and that mercy will walk with us on this journey. This is Pastor Bill from St. Luke's United Methodist Church, Harrisville, West Virginia, Ritchie County, West Virginia. Wherever you are, I hope you're happy, I hope you're healthy, I hope you're safe, and I hope you're warm. Have a great day, everybody. God bless.